we are going to get into this bubble championship debate. The debate is, did the 2020 NBA championship that the Lakers won, does that deserve an asterisk or not? Do you want to take the floor first, or you want me to go first? I'll give you the choice to decide.
I mean, you could go. We've already went over it, but you could.
I mean, we've gone over it, but it's for the people out there.
You give your points, and then I'll give you.
Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so then I'm gonna do this. All right, here we go, y'all. I have decided to break my debate, argument, however you want to look at this, down into 3 points. So I'm gonna give y'all my first point, my second point, my third point. But starting with my first one, okay, and that is that mental aspect of all this. Okay, so if anything, this was, in my opinion, the toughest championship of all time, because you took the normal players, these players who are used to their regime, out of their regime. And these players have been used to this for years. I mean, 4 years, and you forced them to still play at a high level. And the perfect example of this is, let's look at a player like LeBron James. In 2020, he had been in the league for, I believe, around like 18 years or 17 years, something like that. And he had a regimen. He had a routine. He had things that he has been used to for years. And LeBron is not the only one. There's all players around the league. There's players who are probably a lot more like to the T. They need to do shit right every single time. And now you took them out of that regime and you put them, and you still told them to perform at a high level. That's one part of the mental aspect that definitely affects the game. But let me keep going, because I have a couple more things to talk about on this mental aspect. First point. Another thing that I think people sleep on a lot is the fact that people need to realize, like, and I've told you this before, Ron, that like this is not freaking NBA 2K. These are real people who not only have real regimes that they've been used to for years and years and years, but they also have real families. They have real kids and moms and wives and daughters. And you cannot just isolate these people from their loved ones during a worldwide pandemic with so much uncertainty and still tell them, hey, you still need to perform at the highest possible level. And I'll tell you what, man, any pro athlete out there, anybody that played any type of high level sports, you know that for you to perform on the court, for you to be there physically, you got to be locked in mentally. And a perfect example of someone not being locked in mentally and that affecting their game is no other than Pandemic P, the man who got an entire nickname just because of how much the bubble put a mental strain on him. Paul George during the bubble put up career lows in points, rebounds, assists, and he said it was all because he was mentally messed up. And if you don't believe me, well, don't worry. I got someone here for you to tell you himself. Let's go ahead and get into this clip.
Underestimated mental health, honestly. I had anxiety, a little bit of depression, just being locked in here, and I just wasn't there. I checked out, and it was games 2, 3, 4. I wasn't there. I felt like I wasn't there. But shout out to the people that was in my corner, the people that gave me the words. Shout out Laura.
Y'all get it. Basically, what he is talking about there is that he after he got eliminated. Okay,
cry me a river, bro.
Look. After he got eliminated, go ahead.
Let's be real, bro. Paul George has never been a great playoff performer. Period. Oh, God. He's had his moments, but it's been more let down. It's been more let down often than not in the playoffs with Paul George. So let's get that out the way. And then, okay, you're separated from your family, but before the pandemic, they were with their family for months.
But that doesn't change the fact that, look,
I know, I understand, but you act like they're in prison, like they can't call their family, like you can't FaceTime. Like, I understand it's still hard in its own way, but there's no way you're going to convince me that no travel, not playing in front of fans is harder.
Look, let me finish. Let me finish my whole thing, because that right there, that all that was just showing that was Paul George himself talking about how after he got eliminated, he could not mentally lock in, and him not mentally lock in clearly affected his physical performance. But okay, let's keep it pushing because I got more. Okay, I got more. Don't worry. I got more. Okay, so with Paul George saying that, and the players in the bubble saying that, if the Lakers were still able to perform the best, still able to overcome all these odds and all these mental hurdles, it by de facto makes it literally the hardest championship of all time. But let's keep it pushing though, because I got some more to talk about. Back to the regime, right? Because earlier I told you some of these dudes are creatures of habits. So now you are forcing them out of their habit that they've been used to for years. Some of these guys have private chefs. They've been eating certain ways, and now they're just being given food. Some of these dudes have been locked in for years. They know they're nutritious. They got their diet down. They got everything down to a T. Now you can't have none of that because you can't be 6 feet within somebody. So can't nobody be cooking your food. They're giving you food, which, mind you, everybody in the bubble that was there said the food in there was terrible. So now they're also having to grow accustomed to not eating the way that they've grown accustomed to for years. Another thing with the regime is, bro, you got to remember that during COVID, and this was at the beginning of COVID, they were sticking that freaking swab all the way up your damn nose, bro. They were sticking that swab all the way up your damn nose. And let me get to my point two now, because point one was all about mentally and being mentally locked in here. Just Antoine Albert said, Jokic said differently. Yeah, but I have examples of multiple players saying differently. And if you need to, go back in the stream and watch my point one. But let me get to my point two. Point number two, let's talk about another player that was actually in the bubble. Let's talk about Rajon Rondo. Okay, Rajon Rondo, when they asked him, hey, Rondo, which championship to you was harder, the bubble championship or the championship that you won when you're on the Celtics? He said, when talking about my championships, this was by far the hardest one. Family is everything. Not being able to see your family takes a toll on you mentally. We're not eating normal food as our normal regimes. It takes a toll on our body, our mind, especially the older players. We are not getting proper rest, not sleeping in our own beds on an uncertain schedule. It was a lot different, and those circumstances made it more difficult. But hey, maybe you still don't believe me because I gave you not only facts and accounts of players, but I'll give you a different account of a different player talking about it. But let me go ahead and get into this.
What were your experiences like in the bubble? And, you know, you won 3 chips. How does that ring compare to the other 2 in terms of difficulty?
I always tell everybody it was the hardest one. Yes. It was the hardest one by far.
You hear that, people?
By far.
You hear that, Jordan fans?
Obviously, winning.
Okay, so there's another player that was in the bubble giving their account, and the player that's won multiple championships here, okay? And he's talking about 2 players I just gave you that will have won multiple championships on different teams, just came out and both said that the bubble was the hardest one. But let me keep it going. Let's talk about Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard said when he was in the bubble for months at a time, he felt like he was depressed. He wasn't himself, not being able to see his family, not being able to see his kids. But maybe these quotes aren't doing it for you. So here you go. Here is another account of a player in the bubble talking about how difficult it was.
I couldn't imagine that. The bubble was prison,
bro. That was prison, but everyone was cool with each other.
That was the issue. They sold us all this shit before we got to the bubble. We're going to have the park amenities. Disneyland's going to be available. The golf courses, fishing, ponds, the lakes.
That's all you needed. When I heard fishing, I said, PG set. He's good.
But that was like all phases. We had to like damn near wait for them to like slowly start to open it up for us. 2 months.
Did they let you do the roller coasters and all that stuff or no? None?
No.
So what the hell was you doing? Just walking, taking a stroll?
Basically. We was just living like in jail. I used to just watch cars go by, bro. Like real talk. And you would just watch like people run around the border because you couldn't cross outside that border or you would get flagged. Like you had to go in isolation.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. And then here I wrap up. I'm starting to wrap up here, Ron. I just had to have it because that's my second point. My second point is the player accounts. Okay. And then maybe you think I'm talking about only bringing up Lakers players. And if that's the case,
no, you just came with a bunch of soft emotional guys though.
No, I'm okay.
Like Karl Anthony Towns and PG.
Here we go.
Danny Green's a solid reference though.
I'll tell you what, Danny Green is not soft. Rajon Rondo.
No, I said he's solid and not yet.
But okay,
not Rondo,
let's keep it pushing. Let's keep pushing. Let's see this one. Let's see an account of a player that was in there and not a Lakers player.
That was the hardest championship to win. in my opinion, 15 deep plus coaches, staff, whatever you need, like training staff. Other than that, it's you, your thoughts in one room, boxed in.
I ain't talking to nobody.
Listen,
I ain't talking to nobody from the other team.
It felt like you was gang affiliated when you was in the bubble.
Yeah, I chose my side.
Lakers got on purple and gold. We got on black. The Bucks got on their green. Like, and nobody was walking by themselves. So I'm his protege. So like, at this point, that's my best friend in the bubble.
Yes, sir.
Man, we like this.
Long story short, you see what Bam Adebayo is saying, and this is how I'll finish my second point, and then I will get to my last and third final point. If the players, I just gave you accounts of so many different players who are themselves saying it, if the people who were actually in there are saying it was the hardest championship, why in the world would I listen to anybody else?
You gave a handful.
Brother, I just gave you a handful.
Yeah.
Look, hold on. I just gave you
that's not even a big sample size.
Okay, but I could keep going here all day of just as far as players just talking about this. I'm just giving you an example of players because it's funny to me how everyone that was not in the bubble says it was the easiest championship, but everyone that was in the bubble says it was the hardest championship. That's literally like saying someone that was on the Titanic saying, yo, that water was cold, and somebody that was not on the Titanic saying, yo, just stop being a wussy. That water wasn't cold. That's exactly what that's like saying. Like, but you know what? Let me get to my last and final point, because you know what, Ron? I gave you the facts and the stats, and I gave you the players' accounts. But the last and final thing, bro, we would have won no matter what. We were the best team prior to all this happening. We were the #1 seed, had the #1 defense. Anthony Davis was too dominant. LeBron James led the league in assists. We actually had a team built around LeBron with shooters. And guess what? Right before that break, we had beat the top 4 teams in a row. We beat the Celtics, we beat the Bucks, we beat the Clippers, and we beat the Nuggets. So I will end with this, brother. Name me an advantage that the Lakers had that other teams did not have, because you cannot. I can name you a disadvantage that the Lakers did not have as a #1 seed that every other #1 seed got. Guess what? When you're a #1 seed, you earn home court advantage. The Lakers were the #1 seed and got that stripped from them, still won a championship. Therefore, de facto, with everything I've given you, this is the hardest championship of all time.
I don't think so. Just based off of the way if anybody watched that, right? Everybody in the chat watch that the bubble. That was not real playoff basketball. You can't just cut a season short and then restart it, play some games, and then have everybody playing at the same playoff level. Teams like the Lakers that are talented like that, and those teams are always going to be solid. But then there's other teams that need games to get into rhythm and to get all the defense together, and you just didn't see that. Everybody was you can't just stop and restart and then think you're going to have the same level of play. The defense was not like normal playoff defense. It just wasn't normal playoff basketball, like how the caliber that we're used to seeing. So that's my simplest fact for giving them an asterisk, because it was nothing like the level of play was much lower, bro, much lower than if you look at any other finals. And the finals were better because it's the Heat. But if you looked at the whole bracket in the tournament, it wasn't the level of play was much lower. So that's why I give them an asterisk off top.
I can't go with that. So that's all.
And
then
they haven't competed. They haven't competed since.
What? We were just in the Western Conference Finals. What are you talking about?
At the high. Oh well.
Hold on. We were just hold on. Let me rebuttal that, because we were just at the Western Conference Finals. Listen, that was 3 years ago. If you count this last season, that's not very long. So we were just at the Western Conference Finals, and guess what? The Miami Heat, the team that was also in the championship in the bubble, they were also in the finals coming years after that, proving you that the bubble was not a fluke. I'm telling you, bro. People who say that, and no disrespect to you, Ron, but disrespect to the Antoine Alberts out there. People who say that don't understand basketball, dog. I'm telling you, this is not 2K. This is real life. They go through real life 2K, shit. Right. And that's and I just showed you examples of players themselves talking about it. So why would I believe somebody who was sitting at their fucking mom's couch versus the player who was actually in the bubble?
Not all the players said that though. You just
I
like
gave
you said
I
you brought
gave
a handful.
Did you bring at least one of a player talking about it's not? Come on, man.
I didn't, but I mean, you've seen the level of play, bro. That's the biggest thing. Like, because there's like I said, there's teams like the Lakers that could come, and honestly, the season being cut short does help them because they are injury prone. So
is the rest of the league. It's not like the Lakers only got the break.
I don't know. Street clothes Davis. They don't call him that for no reason.
But guess what? Kawhi Leonard also got the break. Paul George also got the break. All these other dudes also got the break. Like, we can't sit here and act like the Lakers were the only team at home chilling when everybody else was playing.
Never said that.
So that point becomes a mute.
I never said it was unfair. What I said is it's not a real championship.
Cap. That's cap. Because that team would have.
It's not that
dog walked all these teams.
That playoffs was terrible. The level of play, it just didn't cut it.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't think I think they should have just never brought the season back. Like, it was
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And like I said at the end, y'all, like I said, until somebody can give me an advantage that the Lakers had that other teams did not have, then the point is a mute, because I'm telling you right now, the Lakers were at a disadvantage versus every other number one seed in the world. Every other number one seed that was ever a number one seed had a home court advantage, except the Lakers, and they still got it done de facto, making it the hardest thing because of what the players said, because of mentally, because of that.
You gotta look at what Pookie said.
What did Pookie say?
The season's a marathon, and that was no marathon.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you're right. It was a harder marathon because now you got to be mentally locked in for a lot longer.
It was just a sprint. Like, a sprint is different than a marathon.
Bro, do y'all understand? Like, see, I could tell Pookie never played any high level sports. I could tell that right now. I could tell that Pookie did not play a high level, because you could tell, bro. Because listen to this, dog. You have to understand, when you're older, when you're up there in age, like, you can't just go stop. Like, that shit was so hard for a 36-year-old LeBron James to stop everything and then pick that shit right back up.
Everything. Like he wasn't at the house hooping. Like, he wasn't training. Like, LeBron don't be out working.
You believe LeBron James was doing the same regimen at his home than he would have been doing that during an NBA season? You believe that?
He probably was doing more, because they do more in the offseason than they do during the regular season. What are we even talking about? It's like summer. Like, during the summertime, that's when they work. That's really when they work harder. They don't work harder during the season. But Steph Curry gets up like way more shots in the offseason than he does during the season.
Look. Oh, Kurt. Like, Kurt. Ron, he said Ron has no idea what he's talking about. He's reaching. Oh, they try to get on you right now.
I'm not reaching.
Nah.
It was there. It was there. I mean, if you watch those playoffs, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same level of play all around the league. Like it normally is. How it heightens up to get to the playoffs. It was not like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I will tell you what. The players said otherwise. I gave you five.
Some players said otherwise, and half of them was soft as fuck. Besides what, Rondo and
Danny Green, Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, besides them.
Oh, come on,
Bam didn't even. Wasn't he hurt? Wasn't he hurt most of the time?
No. Bam played. Bam definitely played. Bam got that huge block on Jason Tatum, and then
he did. I remember clips, but I could have swore, didn't he get? Wasn't he not 100%? Yeah, because it's like.
I mean, nobody's 100% at that point, but
well, no, there was a lot more 100% people than there normally is in the playoffs. That's also why there was
and guess what?
Players like
and y'all still didn't perform. And y'all still didn't perform. The 2020 Lakers.
No, but some teams, like I said, some teams need that time to get their cohesiveness together. The more talented teams, a lot of times, they don't need that. But that's why it's different. There's teams that win titles that you would never have thought would win a title, and it's because of the way the season forges you.
Hold on. So does Ron think any team who would have won a championship shouldn't have counted?
Well, that year, if the way they did it, I don't know, maybe if they would have made it longer or something, but I don't think they should have just canceled the season and then just came back, started the next season earlier.
Fuck no. Let me see. Hold on. Faces Sports says, speaking of Tatum, anyone know if he recovered from that pine ride? That man, he went through it. He went through it. He went through it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying that they should have gave Tatum Halliburton's minutes, but it's like that's kind of dumb. They're not even the same type of player.
Yeah, they're different players. Yeah,
which especially with that team, Halliburton distributes more. He got a handle. He's a guard.
Yeah,
you can't just like put like, oh, give him his minutes because he deserves it more. Like, no, that's not how it works. Got a
great point. Great point. Yeah, that I agree, Ron. But great point by Kurt. Kurt said Spurs won during the lockout season, and nobody talks about that. Like, come on, man, that's a great. Nobody talks about that.
The lockout season was way different, though, bro. They didn't just cut it. They played less games, but the marathon to get to the playoffs was different. You playing all those games in a row. And then traveling to different having to fly from city to city, playing in front of 18,000.
Bro, but you gotta
everybody was talking about the mental, like they're playing a children's game, bro. Calm down.
Whoa, what, bro? For real. Ron, that's like, crazy. Ron,
bro,
brother.
There's people in the chat that actually have like be out of the country and shit for their jobs, and they don't get paid millions of dollars. So I mean, I understand it's tough, but at the same time, bro, come on now. Everybody's just bringing up mental health. What about physically? Like, no one said anything about being more physical or anything. No one brought up any actual hooping.
Bro, what are you talking about? I just my point my first point that I brought up.
None of the people you brought up said anything about the physicality or the level of basketball. All they said was some more mental.
Well, guess what? But hold on, Ron. Hold on. Any high level athlete knows that you have to be mentally locked in for you to perform at your highest possible level. If you're not mentally locked in, you're not going to perform. Hold on. Look at Paul George. Go. If you don't believe me,
Paul George hold on.
If you don't believe me, not only I could play the video back again, but right after they got eliminated by the Denver Nuggets, these people. Paul George came out and had his worst numbers of all time, career lows, and then
he's had a few stinkers in the playoffs though. In the real playoffs,
he blamed it all on mental. He blamed it all mental.
Making excuses though. He's Paul George. He rarely plays good in the playoffs. He has a couple moments where he shined, but overall, over his career, bro, he's been ass in the playoffs. He's been a letdown.
Bro, he's been a letdown, bro. He's always putting up more than 20 points per game. Go ahead and look up on basketball records. He put up 20 points per game. That is the absolute career low for him in the playoffs, and he attributed it all to him being mentally fucked up. So clearly, there is a correlation between you being mentally fucked up and not messing you up physically. And I guarantee Paul George is not the only one of these 500 players in the league that felt that. I guarantee more felt that than others. Like the only people who did not feel that were these little youngins who got no kids, no wife, no nothing. But these dudes weren't playing for shit. When you go back and look at the playoffs, all those dudes were some big dogs that were mentally that had shit to miss at home, and now these niggas got to miss it. And for LeBron and the Lakers to lock in even through all that, come on, bro. It literally by de facto makes it the harder championship.
I think period. Eight games is not enough to get teams playoff ready. That's just what it boils down to, bro. Because the level of play, I watched all the bubble games, bro. There was nothing else to do. I watched all the bubble games, and the level of play it wasn't playoff basketball, bro. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, bro. 8 games. You can't play 8 games and then start a tournament and think that you're gonna get the same level of play as the crucible that is the real NBA season. It's not rocket science, bro. Like it takes like I said, the more talented teams are more likely to still be the same, like the teams that compete, but health matters too, and that helps too to not have to play all those games.
Do you believe you know more than the NBA players that were actually in the bubble?
No, but I think there's people that other NBA players that don't feel like that.
And if a majority of them feel like that, why would we not?
You didn't bring up a majority. You brought up like a couple of dudes that have had deep playoff runs, and then you brought up Paul George, who always, it seems like it's hard for him to play in the playoffs. Period. So,
but not when he put not 20 points before. Bro, I agree, he's put up stinkers, but not as nearly as bad as that. Brother,
I don't. We can go back and Paul George has had some stinkers in the playoffs, bro. Some stinkers. Paul George is like the last, like Paul George and Big Cat. That was like the worst, the worst two people.
But I'm not,
like, bro. They don't have. Neither of them have had extended playoff success. How much can they really talk about playoff basketball?
It doesn't. We're not. We're talking about the fact that it's the bubble. We're talking about the fact that you're in the bubble.
Nobody even brought up the level of basketball that was being played. Nobody.
Are you not watching the video? Paul George himself. They all said
mental health.
Yes, Paul George concluded the fact that the reason why he played so bad and put up career lows is because he was not mentally locked in. So therefore, by de facto, it has to mentally being locked in has to correlate with physically. I mean, I'm telling you this, y'all. I'm telling you this. I promise you, dog. Like for the people out there, I guarantee. Go ask any high-level athlete
at all.
It has to. It has to.
Obviously, somewhat. But to the degree that they put in it, they put in a 2 on a 10.
They put in a 2 on a 10. What you mean?
They put in a 2 on a 10. It's not. It like they make it seem way tougher than it actually is, though.
No, they're just telling you the truth.
Well, yeah, of course, for multimillionaires that always could go do whatever they want. Obviously, the bubble wasn't fun for them, but it's like, bro, they were chilling for months before that, and now you mad you got to go a couple months. What it was, the bubble was like what 2-3 months.
Yeah, the bubble was like I believe a little bit over 3 months.
Yeah, so I mean, that sucks, bro. But at the same time, everybody got to sacrifice something, bro. At that time,
you're right. Like, everybody got to sacrifice something. So for the Lakers to sacrifice for the longest and sacrifice the most, like they were in there for over 90 days. Now, can you imagine, Ron, not seeing like your significant other or you're like for fucking over 90 days? You're not gonna like, especially maybe not in your position, like Ron. I got a child. Like, bro, my daughter is gonna look like a totally different person in 90 days, and if I can't see her. All because of this worldwide pandemic, which I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know, bro. Do you remember how crazy COVID was at the time? It's calm now, but niggas thought this was like the Ebola at the time.
Yeah. I mean, people was dying. I mean, people was
dying.
Yeah.
And I can't protect my family because I'm locked in here in this bubble. How am I supposed to be good at basketball when I'm thinking about if my daughter out there is gonna be straight? You can't. Man. You can't. Man, I had fun. I had fun doing this, Ron. I had some fun. I had some fun doing this, man. Bloodhound, good to see you, my brother. We got 21 people here in the chat, man. Let me see. I'll be explaining NBA. I have nothing to prove. Man, I don't know what you're talking about, Pookie, man. But man, all I'll say is this. That bubble championship had to have been the hardest, in my opinion. And I'm going to go down to my grave with that.